Hey guys, and welcome finally to the start of the CustomF1 series. It's 1994 and Streamline Engineering arrive at the Brazilian Grand Prix, the opening round of the season, as the new kids on the block, along with SimTech of course. But first, we have the news.
It's now time for the first edition of CustomF1 Weekly with your host, Josh Cassar. The most prominent news heading into the first race weekend of the season comes from the FIA themselves. The governing body of Formula 1 has stated that they are permitting 28 cars to compete in the main Grand Prix, if the circuit allows for that number. This means that in many Grand Prix during the upcoming season, no cars will be eliminated from the starting order due to poor qualifying performance. All eyes will be on the two teams making their debuts this weekend, SimTech and Streamline Engineering. Neither team possesses a strong car, so it will be down to the drivers to make all the difference. A shock result anywhere throughout the season could be the deciding factor in the battle for 13th place in the constructors' standings. Streamline themselves head into the season with two rookie drivers, as do SimTech. Kaya Mahendra is the standout name of the bunch, arguably one of the most talented drivers on the grid even, and he's only signed up to a one-year contract with Streamline. They will definitely struggle to keep him beyond 1994. Car development for these lower class teams will be crucial this year. Neither SimTech nor Streamline have the financial capabilities of splashing out on upgrades every race weekend, which means that each upgrade needs to be meticulously tested before even being considered. The ever-changing world of motorsport will be no different here, with many drivers and staff out of contract at the end of 1994, so the market will be as alive as ever. And that's all from me, until next week.
Thanks Josh. As he just covered there in that news section, there will be car upgrades during the season, and that also means that every team has the financial side of things to cover. As a viewer, you will only see Streamline Engineering's finances. Every other team on the grid, I'm going to simulate their finances in the background. That includes all the money they gain from sponsorship and prize money, as well as all the outgoings in terms of contracts and car development, research and development, all that sort of stuff. That will be done in the background, but you will have a say on all Streamline Engineering's upgrades throughout the season. There won't be that many because we have limited finances as a brand new team, and we don't have a big backing of a major manufacturer or big sponsors, so we're going to have to be very, very careful with the upgrades we pick throughout the season. From about halfway part of this season, there will be contracts to think about. The rest of the F1 world will be simulated in the background. Other teams will be making signings, re-signing drivers, re-signing technical directors, chief designers, and once again you guys will have a say in what goes on for Streamline Engineering. And of course, many of you have youth drivers in the game. You'll be able to see their lower category results when those races happen, and those results will be shown before the Formula 1 races take part. As we're approaching the line at the end of my fastest flying lap in qualifying, we're not going to trouble Damon Hill's provisional pole time, no way near, but we're going to set a respectable 1:20.7, and there's rain on the horizon for the rest of the session, so maybe some of the drivers getting caught out. We'll have to have a look. Now on to the qualifying results. And here are the qualifying results. Ayrton Senna on his debut for Williams claims pole position, almost 4/10 ahead of second place Michael Schumacher. Senna's teammate Damon Hill lines up in third place, then the two Ferraris, Berger ahead of Alesi, rounding out the top 5, followed by the two McLarens, Mika Hakkinen ahead of the more experienced Martin Brundle. Jos Verstappen on his debut can only manage 8th place and is a clear second behind his teammate Michael Schumacher. The two Saubers round out the top 10, Heinz-Harald Frentzen on his debut, out-qualifying Andrea de Cesaris. Mark Blundell sets off from 11th with Barrichello in 12th, followed by Ukyo Katayama and Eric Bernard. Onto the second half of the grid, Olivier Panis down in 15th place, 2 seconds off pole position time. Yanni Morbidelli sets off from 16th with Eric Comas in 17th. Then the two Minardis, Alboreto and Martini in 18th and 19th, with Beretta in the second LaRousse rounding out the top 20. Zanardi on his debut for Lotus today out qualifying his teammate Herbert, Zanardi starts from 21st place, Fittipaldi in the second, footwork down in 22nd. Irvine a long way behind his Jordan teammate Barrichello. Irvine starts from 23rd. Mika Salo on his debut, not only his debut but the team's debut, Streamline Engineering. Salo manages to qualify up in 24th place because he got a lap in before the conditions on the track worsened due to the rain. Johnny Herbert therefore is down in 25th, followed by the two Simtex, two debut drivers in a debut team. Roland Ratzenberger ahead of David Grabham. Kaya Mahendra only managed to set 2 laps at the end of the session, and that was when the track was already damp. He's far behind and starts down in 28th and last place. Now for some information on the circuits we are racing at today. It's the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace in Brazil. The circuit length just over 4 kilometers and it features 15 corners. We're going to go around this track 71 times today. The current track conditions is damp and it's going to dry out throughout the race, and both Streamline Engineering drivers going for a 2-stop strategy. Mika Salo, starting 24th, is going to go to 21 laps into the race before making his first scheduled stop, then all the way to 46. Kaya Mahendra pitting on lap 24 and 47 out of 71. Hopefully they can make up a few positions, and hopefully the durability of the car holds out and they make the checkered flag. Now all there is left to do is go racing. The 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix is next. And here we are on the grid awaiting the lights. There's 2, 3, 4 and 5. The 1994 season is underway, and because of the damp track conditions we get a very bogged down start and lose a couple positions off the start line. We're down to 26th already. We can gain a few back up the inside into the first corner. Those drivers taking it very, very cautiously, including all the drivers around me. Fittipaldi sliding up the inside into turn 2 there, so we lose out position to the footwork, and we're ahead of the Jordan of Eddie Irvine as we head onto the Retro Aposta for the first time. We're really down on straight line speed. That's mainly due to setup for a stable car, but we're going to lose out a lot down the straights during this race as we lose out there to Eddie Irvine, and another driver went straight up the inside. I couldn't see who that was, but I think it was Johnny Herbert. Yeah, it was. So now we're down to 25th and we're ahead of who the cars we should be battling are. So they're the two Simtex and my teammate Mahendra. We are Salo, and Salo is I think about 74 overall. Kaya Mahendra is 85 overall. I think he's the 6th highest rated driver on the grid. That was completely randomised, by the way, when I was making all these youth drivers. There was a random current ability and a random potential ability, and it just so happened that Kaya Mahendra is the best of the youth drivers we have at the moment on current ability. Of course, potential ability that changes over time, and you'll see as the seasons go on, drivers overall is changing, and that might not match what it was in real life. So you might see some drivers that were really good in real life not being so good in this series. As Ratzenberger tried to overtake me around the outside there, but lost out to Mahendra, and now Mahendra's going to stream past me. His setup is well, not as balanced as mine, as he's got a lot more skill than I have, and some drivers you may have noticed are actually starting on the intermediate tyres. We started on the softs, and hopefully when it dries up after maybe that 4 or 5, we'll have the pace advantage, and all those drivers on the intermediates will have to pit, and we can gain a few positions that way. But I think we're going to go down to last place here. David Brabham up the inside into turn 4 on lap 2, and we are last. We're 28 out of 28 drivers. A quick look at the start for the race leaders. Senna and Schumacher getting an equal start, but down towards the first corner. Schumacher's the inside line. Can he outbrake the Brazilian driver at his home Grand Prix? They're going side by side through the Senna S's, and on the exit down towards the Retro Aposta, Schumacher still side by side with the Williams. Which car will come out ahead as they exit the third corner down towards the fourth corner? Who's going to brake later? Schumacher on the inside outbrakes Ayrton Senna and takes the race lead. He leads the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix. So these are the standings on lap 2. Michael Schumacher leads the way. Berger up in 3rd place. That relegates Hill down to 4th. Martin Brundle down in 8th place. Jos Verstappen on his debut just outside the top 6 right now. But it is Michael Schumacher versus Ayrton Senna for the race victory. I've clearly gone the wrong way with the setup in terms of top speed. This is me down the main straight. I'm not catching at all David Brabham, the Simtek in front. I'm actually losing so much time, maybe about half a second down the main straight to the Simtex. So for me to overtake them, I need to do it during that middle sector, and I'm definitely quicker than them during the middle sector. Sadly for Roland Ratzenberger, his debut does not end well. It's only the start of lap 4 as he goes across the line, but he suffers brake failure into the first corner, bringing the first retirement of the 1994 season. I've been putting so much pressure on Brabham these past few laps. It's lap 6 now, and up the hill into that second sector, which I said would be our best overtaking opportunity. We're going to try round the outside. There's not much grip. We've got the inside line for the next corner, both of us on those soft tyres, and I take the position up to 26th and ahead of both Simtex. Now there are a few drivers switching from inters over to the dry compound, and one of them being Olivier Panis there, just rejoining ahead of me. But we are ahead of Barrichello. I'm not sure for how much longer though. He's just rejoined and he's only 3/10 behind me in the Jordan. We're up to 24th place for the time being though, but it's only a matter of time before Barrichello manages to get past. The Jordan of Eddie Irvine stuck in gear, and look at him holding so many drivers up as well. He's going to retire from this race as he makes contact going into the pits with one of the footworks. Eddie Irvine, the second retirement of this Brazilian Grand Prix. And he's wasting no time. It's the end of lap 7 and Barrichello streams past in the Jordan. Of course, even if I did have a good setup, I'd have struggled to keep him behind. But my very low top speed setup I'm running today, it aids me in the cornering and it aids me a lot through that middle sector. But on the first and third sector, I'm just nowhere near. But we are up to 23rd. Martini in the Minardi rejoins behind me. Another one of those drivers starting on the inters, moving over to the dry compound tyres. A couple more drivers into the pits at the end of lap 8, including Zanardi, who's rejoined behind me, but that didn't last very long. He's passed me now. Martini, interestingly, is actually losing pace compared to me. He was... Actually, no, he's probably matching my pace. So really, we're not doing too bad against the Minardi of Martini right now. We are going all the way to lap 21 before making my pit stop. Embarrassingly, it's only lap 10 and we're getting lapped by Schumacher, the leader. Senna follows him through. There will be a big gap between those two and third place. But at this rate, we're going to be lapped quite a number of times in this race. Around lap 15 and Schumacher into the pits from the race lead. And that means Ayrton Senna in his home Grand Prix. He did start on pole, he moves back into the race lead. He's lapping Martin Brundle there. It's only lap 15. So these are the standings at the start of lap 17. Schumacher still leads to Senna, Alesi in third still. Morbidelli up to 5th with Eric Comas in the points positions. And debutant Kaya Mahendra up to 16th place and is right on the back of Mark Blundell. What a fantastic debut race. Lap 20, Senna is leaving the pits, and where is Schumacher? He's there, he's just kept ahead of Senna, but down through the Retroposta now. They're straight down towards the end of the first sector, and turn 4, can Senna get back past? He's going to go for it, what a dive up the inside. He retakes the race lead, Ayrton Senna up into first place. I have successfully reached the end of a stint, as we just got lapped there, I think, by, it might have been Senna after he went into the pits, came out and lapped us again. But we're into the pits here. These are our kitted out pit crew. I think I just changed the colour. I might have put our logo on it as well. I can't really tell from here. But we're going to put in another 25 laps of fuel to get me all the way to about lap 46. And we're going to rejoin, thankfully, ahead, crucially, of the Simtek of Brabham. Of course, his teammate Ratzenberger was one of the first retirements in this race, if not the first retirement. We're going to rejoin in 25th place as we're getting lapped by a number of drivers. There's a LaRousse, a Sauber and a McLaren. And there is another car that's about to lap me, which is the other LaRousse. So we are far and away behind many of the drivers in this race. But, as you all know, 1994, there were quite a few mechanical retirements in those times. So if we just finish the race, we could be looking at maybe a top 15 finish. The next retirement to add to the list, Ukyo Katayama in the Tyrrell, suffering suspension failure down the main straight. which is not a great place to suffer such failures, and he stops on track. Luckily nobody crashes into him, including Quali who just goes past there. Not to alarm anybody, but we are catching Johnny Herbert. The gap was 11 seconds a few laps ago. It's now down to 8.5. I don't know if that's because he's letting like blue flags and he's letting the faster cars through, or if we are genuinely catching him on pace. He might be on a one-stop, I don't know. He might be carrying a lot more fuel than I am. Whatever the reason is, it's quite exciting. We're actually catching a driver. Zanardi was doing quite well for this race. He was far clear of his teammate Herbert, that's for sure. But on lap 29, it all comes undone. Braking into turn 4. Brake failure sees him career off the track and almost into the barriers, but he is out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Approaching half race distance, and this is Johnny Herbert in front. We are right on the back of him. Can we somehow find a way past the Lotus up the hill? You can see we're just losing out on the acceleration and top speed. But as we enter the second sector, this is our bread and butter, these sorts of corners. We're going to try around the outside like we did on David Brabham, and that proved to be quite successful. This time we just don't have the grip around the outside to make it stick. But we're surely going to get past. We just need to try a similar move, and maybe next time we can pull it off. Sadly, due to our car and setup, it seems to be the only place we can really overtake, and we're going to try it from real deep back here. Go really deep into the corner and around the outside. We have the inside line for the next one, and we just about get the position, as we also need to give way for a Ferrari behind that's about to lap me. But we managed to get past Herbert and up to 22nd place. Ironically, we just overtake him. He decides to retire from the race. Johnny Herbert is out with suspension failure. 2 laps later, we're on the back of Pierluigi Martini in that beautiful looking Minardi. I absolutely love that livery. The colour scheme is amazing, and we're going to go for the exact same move again around the outside, and this time it was actually easier to overtake Martini compared to Brabham or Herbert, and we're up to 21st, but look at that, 40 seconds behind Rubens Barrichello. I think that's going to be out of our reach, but we are ahead of Martini and Herbert on track. Christian Fittipaldi's engine has blown, bringing an end to his 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix, the first engine failure we've had during this race. Schumacher has an issue, he's stuck in gear. Michael Schumacher retires from the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix. His battle with Ayrton Senna for the win is over. Halfway through the race now, Senna leads the way. Alesi is up to 2nd and Hakkinen in 3rd. That means 3 different constructors occupying the top 3 places. Jos Verstappen in the sole Benetton in 5th place. Morbidelli slipping down to 7th and Bernard slipping down to 8th. Both streamlines in the top 20. Mahendra in 17th and Mika Salo in 19th place. The 3rd driver in this race to suffer gearbox issues is Eric Comas in the Larousse. He is out of this race on lap 41. Well, this is a good sign. Lap 43, and I'm about to lap David Brabham in the Simtek into my favourite corner, of course. But he doesn't see me there, and I hit the back of him. Maybe pick up a bit of damage. We are on 100% damage multiplier, and at the same time, I have to let one of the Williams lap me here. I think that's Ayrton Senna. He's the race leader. So David Brabham really causing an issue here, because I can't really re-overtake Senna. He's going to lap me eventually, isn't he? So he needs to get past Brabham, and then I need to get past Brabham. He's just causing such a mess here. It's one of those things that don't often happen in racing, really, when one driver is lapping another driver who's lapping another driver. But there Senna goes, and now I will also lap David Brabham. And here's a rare mistake from me in this race, lap 45. I'm about to be lapped, I think, by Jos Verstappen. There he goes. And I just lose grip on the exit, onto the grass, and then back onto the track. I don't lose much time, but there's a sign there, maybe a bit of racing fatigue. It's been quite a long race, and it's obviously my first race of my career, me being Mika Salo. But yeah, just a crack there in my racing ability. Heartbreak strikes for the Streamline Engineering team as Mika Salo gets lapped by Kaya Mahendra. Mahendra suffers brake failure into the first corner. He was running as high as 13th at one point, but all his hard work from the back of the grid has come undone. He's out of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Yet another driver with gearbox issues. It's the second footwork to retire from the race. Yanni Morbidelli is out on lap 46 of this Grand Prix. Lap 46, that of course means my second and final scheduled stop. And sadly, my teammate out of the race. That's disappointing, but we did know going into the season we've got one of the worst cars, and with that comes really bad reliability, so we should be aiming to finish most of the races this season. But sadly, Kai Mahendra out of his debut race, and he was going so well. Such an impressive debut from him. We're going to rejoin here in 16th actually, going past those retired drivers. So this would be a very respectable position if we manage to finish the race. And out we come with 25 laps to go. We are still ahead of Martini, which means we must have poured a pit stop gap on him during that second stint, so that's brilliant. Oh no, we've lost grip, and into the wall we've gone on the exit of turn 4, and that's ruined all our progress. The suspension, well, it's damaged. I don't know if we're going to be able to continue. We're going to give it a go, but that was such a rookie error. Very embarrassing, considering how long I've played this game. I just lost focus, lost grip, into the wall. And sadly, that's a Streamline Engineering double retirement. I did try to carry on. This is a lap and a half later, but it was just difficult. It was very, very difficult. And Martini had already gone past by this point. Brabham, he was still a minute and a half behind, to be fair, but the suspension would have just been too difficult to handle for the rest of the race. The race goes on though for most of the other drivers. Not Mika Hakkinen though. Suspension failure on the main straight. He's out of this race as well. And that's another retirement in this crazy Brazilian Grand Prix. Retirements have caused this race to completely turn on its head. But Senna, Alesi and Hill are the top 3. Verstappen on for points on his debut. Gerhard Berger in 5th. Martin Brundle in 6th. And Eric Bernard doing brilliantly, chasing down Brundle, battling for the final points position. Sadly for Streamline, Simtek's David Brabham is ahead of both the Streamlines, as of course Streamline retired. Brabham 16th place right now. Both Benettons out of this race. Verstappen, engine failure, sees him retire on lap 65. He was on for some good points on his debut. I think he was running up in 4th place, maybe even 3rd, but he's certainly now not going to score any points, and neither for him or for Benetton. He's out of this race. Hill has had a fairly difficult race after being on the wrong tyre, and it's got even worse now. With only a few laps to go, gearbox issues, he retires from a 4th place finish. Apart from Michael Schumacher, it's just been all Ayrton Senna today, and how fitting is it that he's going to win his first race for Williams and the opening race of the season at his home Grand Prix, no less. As he rounds the final corner towards the line, Ayrton Senna wins the 1994 Brazilian Grand Prix in dominant fashion. And now a quick look at the full race results. We only had 2 drivers finishing on the lead lap, that being Senna, of course, the race winner, and John Alesi in the Ferrari. Gerhard Berger adds to the Ferrari podium tally, both the Ferraris finishing in the top 3. Martin Brundle, the sole McLaren finisher in this race, picking up 3 points. Eric Bernard impressing with 5th place for Ligier, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen scoring a point for Sauber. Mark Blundell in the Tyrrell just missing out. So did De Cesaris, Panis and Olivier Beretta in the Larousse, finishing in top 10. The Minardis, both of them finishing the race. Michele Alboreto in 11th, with Pierluigi Martini down in 14th. Damon Hill, he did retire, but he still was classified above some other finishers. David Brabham being that final finisher of the race in 15th place. Jos Verstappen, of course, retired, and so did all the other drivers classified behind him. A massive amount of retirements for this opening race of the season. And of course, the drivers' standings are identical to the race classification from today, as it was the first race of the season. But Senna has the championship lead, with the 2 Ferraris of Alesi and Berger right behind. But I won't expect the Ferraris to keep up with the Williams of Senna. I'm expecting Michael Schumacher to bounce back as soon as he gets better reliability in that car. He'll be well in the fight with Ayrton Senna for the World Championship. Onto the Constructors' standings. Williams has the lead in that as well, but they're tied with Ferrari. McLaren in 3rd, Ligier 4th and Sauber 5th. That's because of Brundle, Bernard and Frentzen's finishing position in this race. The rest of the teams yet to score a point, ordered by their highest finishing position. So that means Tyrrell, because of Mark Blundell finishing up in 7th, is in 6th place in the championship, with Lotus, the highest finisher in this race, being Johnny Herbert in 24th. They are classified 14th in the constructors' standings, with Streamline up in 12th place. Now, the moment many of you have been waiting for, to see how your youth driver is getting on in the feeder series. I'll show these at the end of every race, and if your driver has competed in any races, you'll see under the results where they finished. So for instance, British Formula 3, a race happened at Silverstone with Cassar and Lacroix, I believe that's how it's pronounced, racing. And you can also see if you're in part of any driver academy, it'll be listed there as well. So not many races happening so far yet, because it is the start of the season. Some of the feeder series don't even get going until the middle of May, so that'll be a while for someone. I think Formula 3000 doesn't get going till May, but French Formula 3 got underway at Circuit Paul I'm not even going to pronounce that, but Gail Campus finishing as 6th there, that's pretty good. And there are 4 tiers in total, and this is, well, British Formula 4, there was the opening race of the season. Not many good results from any of our youth drivers there. Stevelink getting a 12th place finish. I don't think that's enough for points. And Australian Formula Ford got underway, 2 races into the season as well, and some of our youth drivers competing there as well. And finally, a quick team update. Look at the team's finances. We started with 200,000 before the race. We lost almost 10,000. That's our base loss if we weren't upgrading the car. That's just what we're spending on contracts compared to what we get from sponsorship and prize money. As we haven't competed in a season before, we're not getting any prize money, so we're at a loss there. But if we want to make any upgrades this season, we're going to need some money from somewhere. Team personnel, if the morale gets too low, they won't re-sign contracts with us. Their performance might suffer as well. For the drivers' morale to go up or down, it depends on where they qualify and finish and what happens in the race compared to what they're expected. We have the contracts here on the right hand side. So Mika Salo and Kaya Mahendra and Yano Trulli all only signed up for just this year. The background staff, including chief designer, technical director and both the race engineers, signed up for 2 years. The next race is the Pacific Grand Prix. It's opened in 1990, this track featuring 13 corners and 3.703 kilometers in length. It'll be the first time that Formula 1 has visited this circuit, and let's hope it's an exciting one. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for watching, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment down below who you think is going to win the Drivers' World Championship, and join the Discord server if you're not already a member. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.